Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Friday Nights in the Bayou. Jace, we are finally here.
Yeah, buddy.
Finally here. It's Dome Week. Let's go. Go. So there are going to be 8 games. 6 and 16 teams are looking to get the prized trophy, bringing back the state championship trophy back to their trophy case, Jace. We're going to have a lot of new champions, a whole lot of them. Alexandria, of course, are traveling for their second state title appearance, but this is the first time in the Dome. Yeah, I mean, this is gonna be. I think this is gonna be the highest attendance rate at the Dome in quite a little bit, because not only because you have a lot of New Orleans area schools coming in, but you also have schools that are known to travel well. Cecilia has always traveled well. Ruston is going to travel well. Central is the first time in the state championship since 1966. You already know that all the Central fans are going to make that short trek from Baton Rouge over to New Orleans. Matter of fact, Alexandria, I expect them to have it bring a lot of fans. Central Louisiana really cares about their football, and to have a representative in the Dome for the first time. Who knows? Probably Manny. I mean, Manny's probably the only one really that went to the Dome on a regular basis. I mean, there really aren't many teams from Sunlaw that not only have just made the state championship in general, whether that's in the Dome or not in the Dome.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, it's refreshing to get more and more teams, especially Sunlaw. It's been a great year in Sunlaw in general, because you talked about it. There were four teams had an opportunity to go to the Dome, and we knew that there was a good chance at least one of these teams would get in, and Asheville would probably been the top team that you thought would get in, and they punched their ticket. So it's awesome to see what the season that they're having. Grant, they've always been a great program. They just kind of get underappreciated a little bit, or overlooked, I would say, as a better word for it, because you have a lot of these other great programs around the state of Louisiana. But they've always been the flagship school in that area. And it's time to talk about how much athletes really have in that area. I remember Peabody was a great basketball program for the longest time. They would win state championships every year. So, and you talked about Manny. I mean, Manny was really the team that went to the state championship a whole lot. But Alexandria, they've always been right there, whether it's been semifinals, quarterfinals, and they would lose to a Carr or to a Acadiana, and it was just trying to overcome and get over that hump. And they proven that all year long, and it'll be fitting, right? You go through that entire schedule, and now you have a chance to prove it, right? Once again, it's like Grant, if your senior year, you're acing every semester, you're acing every test, and then you got the final exam to really have a shot being valedictorian here. So you have a chance to be the top school in the state of Louisiana if you're able to get that done against the Carr. You've proven it. Now this is a chance. If you pull this off, there's going to be no doubt. You have no doubt on the table that the best team in Louisiana resides in Sunlaw.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, Alexandria, they've been built. Coach Bachman's building, and his staff have been building up this program for a little while now, for a little over 8 years. And what they're doing over there is phenomenal. I mean, they're building up new facilities. I mean, the community's buying in, and this is why you've seen them make the state championship twice in the last 5 years. Chase, I mean, the first time was in 2020, where they nearly defeated the Acadiana, who was the defending state champions from the year before. At the time, what was Class 5A. We still have Class 5A, but we don't have the Class 5A playoffs anymore, since we've done the select and non-select brackets. So Alexandria really has a great shot of winning their first state title in program history, although it will have to, they'll have to find ways to slow down Carr. I mean, Carr, of course, is the more, I guess you could say the quote-unquote more talented team on paper. If you look at who they have, I mean, Alexandria's a talented team in their own right, but Carr, they got dudes all over the place, and really there's not, and all of the position groups just have depth. I mean, a lot of their backups would be stars in a lot of programs around the state. Just because they lose, because they're going to lose a lot of guys. They're going to lose all the receivers. they're going to lose like a solid. I mean, they're going to lose a solid bit of their players next year. But it doesn't matter. That next guy is probably just as good as the guy they already have.
Yeah.
Just because that's the type of program Carr is. Carr is an elite program, considered to be elite program in the state in terms of not only just like winning, of course, but developing players. And it's always a next man up mentality at those programs. That's why, for example, Washer Christian, it's a great example, which we're about to talk about very shortly, is a program that even though they may lose a ton,
reload,
they lose a lot of talent. That's probably the most talented team Washer Christian has probably ever had. But and not only have they had to replace all that talent, but they've made it back into the dome. I mean, that's what good programs do. I mean, Alexander's going to have to go through it too, and a good bit of the teams that are in the dome right now probably have to go has to deal with some sort of attrition, just because some of the guys are graduating, moving on to the next big thing. But Carr is a great example of that program where even though they may lose a bunch, they're still going to have a bunch of guys coming back in the next year.
Oh, yeah. I mean, those programs reload. That's why we talk about, and the Carr. I mean, that's a perfect example. You saw the run that they had, 4 straight state championships from 2016 to 2019. From that stretch, Grant, that's when I started really getting into this business. It was Carr. I mean, because they just reloaded. And not only they reloaded, it's just like, I mean, the program was in place, right? And you develop that talent, that second string, third string, like that talent just rose to the occasion, like rose to the cream rose to the crop, right? Rise to the crop. So yeah, I mean, you notice that from some of these programs. And the Carr, Catholic High, for the longest time, Catholic High, you couldn't even play Grant until you're lucky your junior year, just because you had to develop all these guys, and bigger schools, you couldn't really play until maybe your junior or senior year, if you're lucky, maybe junior year. But that's just comes to that point when you have great programs. You just install it. You just install the system. Even with a great system, usually the teams we see in the dome every single year, Grant, are usually the teams that install that system, whether it's John Curtis, right, with the Veer offense, or whether it's St. Thomas More with their passing offense. They've grown up in that system, so once they get into high school, they're ready to play it. Or you just like in the Carr, the talent you just grow that talent, develop that talent every single year, no matter where they come from. You come from a rich area like New Orleans, you're able to recruit that area. That helps too. So that's why we see these programs year in and year out, because of those two reasons.
Yeah, Jason, let's get going with the game previews and also our predictions. First, of course, we just talked about Washington Christian. Now they're the 11th seed. They are 13-1, entering the state championship game. They will take on the undefeated Vermilion Catholic Screaming Eagles. This is a rematch of the 2022 Division IV Select State Championship, which Washoe Christian won 28-14. Washoe Christian, of course, they got a lot of talented players. That's including their 2 running backs, Macon Leonard. And is it Leonard or Leonard?
I believe it's Leonard.
Leonard, okay. Let's make sure, because I know he's a bowl game commit for you guys. So let's make sure I pronounce it right. But Macon Leonard, and then Jude Turner. Macon Leonard has nearly 200 carries for 1,575 yards and 25 touchdowns. Jude Turner, of course, is 80 carries for 633 yards and 7 touchdowns, and 34 catches for 484 yards and 3 touchdowns. Of course, you already know about the quarterback, Luke Verdream.
Yep.
Who's a very talented quarterback in his own right. But they also have linebacker Cooper Russell, who has 107 tackles, 10 tackles for loss, 6 sacks, 2 interceptions, and a forced fumble. So they're coming in 13-1. And they've defeated Glenbrook in the first round, Catholic Point Capee in the second round, Covenant Christian in the quarterfinals, and Central Catholic in the semifinals. Their only single possession win was against the Central Catholic, 24-22. They will be taking on, of course, we already mentioned the Vermilion Catholic Screaming Eagles. Vermilion Catholic is 13-0. They are the number 1 overall seed. They are one of 7 number 1 seeds that have advanced to the state championship games. The only number 1 seed that did not advance was Neville. who they lost against Central. We'll talk about that later in the show, as that will be the last game we're going to talk about. Of course, the Division One not selected is the last game being played at the Prep Classic. But Vermilion Catholic, of course, they defeated Westminster Christian in the first round, St. Edmund in the quarterfinal, and Kentwood in the semifinals. And each and every one of these games has been decided by 30 points or more, right? They defeated Westminster Christian 47-17, St. Edmund 60-20, and Kentwood 33-0. John Dartez is now the state's all-time career touchdown leader with 173 touchdowns. He is 85 for 135 for 1,556 yards with 21 touchdowns thrown and only 2 interceptions. But his real accolades have been on the ground. 301 carries for 2,508 yards and 42 touchdowns. His 2,500 yards is second only behind Xavier Ford of Leesville in the state of Louisiana. Jace, who you got in this one?
Yeah, I mean, I felt bad for Juwan Johnson, Grant. I mean, it took about a year, and all his records were smashed by Jonathan Dartez. But yeah, it's been a great year. I'll be honest with you, Grant. I mean, Jonathan Dartez would probably be my vote for Gatorade Player of the Year. I mean, just to have this type of year. I mean, just week in, week out. He was a Gridiron Football Player of the Week finalist. I was used to Coach Prejean texting me, "Oh, this was his stat line, Jace. This was his stat line this week." He just made it like look so routine throughout the course of the year. But you gotta give a really lot of credit to the team too. I mean, this is not only. I mean, Jonathan Dartez is a star, and he's the guy that keeps it keeps it going and everything, and he's the engine of this team. But I mean, this is still a great team that plays well around him. They got a lot of two-way guys that play both ways. They're well coached, and they've been in the program for a while. So this is a well coached team. Coach Prejean and Grant. This has been another team that's always been trying to over that hurdle, right? With Coach Prejean. I mean, they've always been great in the regular season. They've always been 9-1, 10-0. They've always had great explosive offenses in the past as well. I remember JT LeJeune was a great quarterback for Vermilion Catholic a couple years ago, and now Jonathan Dartez is we passed that torch, and they've done it in different ways because he is such a dual threat athlete. But this Wall Christian team is great. I mean, it shows you the program, right? Like you mentioned at the very beginning of the show, that Wall Christian, that Stephen Fitzhugh has built. And they're used to winning state championships every single year. And you see the product really coming to full force here. I mean, Stephen Fitzhugh has won a lot of state championships. I mean, going back, I think he's won 7 of the 8 state championships they've won. And he has a chance to win another one. And this is a young team, right? A lot of guys that had replaced from year before, which was a team we thought was going to go win the state championship last year. But they've always been explosive on offense. You see 45 points per game. They allow 11 points per game. They've been dominating really the course of the year. The only exception was their loss this season to Oak Grove. And I mean, you can't really hang your hat too much with that loss to that Oak Grove football team. But this is a great football team. And I think, Washita Christian is coming in this game with so many state championships and being used to the spotlight, Grant. I think they're playing with a little bit of house money here. So I think it'll be a little bit more the relaxed team. Say, hey, like we can go get back next year too. And I think a lot of those guys will be back next year. I know you're talking about Macon Leonard. He's a Gridiron Football American Bowl game commit, but they still got a lot of guys coming back. We talk about Luther Dream too. But yeah, I think there's more pressure on Vermilion Catholic here, Grant. Just because you get Jonathan Dartez. He was in this game as a sophomore. He was a starting quarterback when they played Washita Christian 2 years ago. And this is a senior year. So it would be a great storybook ending. I think he would trade all those records, all those individual accomplishments for a state championship. And, he has a chance to do that in his career with a state championship. This will be the first time potentially since 2013 that they can get it done. And I think they will get it done. This Vermilion Catholic, the stars align, and we talk about how good of a bracket this is and how deep a bracket this is. But they really dominated their way. Now, I'm curious to see how will they handle themselves in a close game because it's been a while since they've been in a really close game.
Yeah.
So Washita Christian keep it close. I'm really curious how they can handle that atmosphere. But I'm gonna feel like the Jonathan Dartez. It's only fitting, right, for him to have a career like he's had. Have a chance, of course, most touchdowns in a career by a Louisiana high school football player. Has a chance to get on top. And I'm gonna agree with the Stars here. I think Vermilion Catholic's going to find a way to get it done.
Yeah, I think so too, Jace. I think Vermilion Catholic was my pick to win the state championship since the beginning of the year. They've have been battles. Just remember, Vermilion Catholic defeated Catholic New Iberia, who's also
In the dome.
it was also in the dome too. I mean, this Vermilion Catholic team has just been phenomenal all year. If you look at their schedule, they defeated Catholic New Iberia 14-10 to start off the year. They beat Louisville 47-36, a team that went to the quarterfinals in the Division 4 non-select bracket. They defeated Erath, who was the number 2 seed in the Division 3 non-select bracket. They defeated Riverside Academy 49-34, double-digit victory. Riverside Academy was the defending state runner-up from the previous season, and they advanced to quarterfinals this season. And then they defeat. I mean, look at it. If you look, Ascension Episcopal. Yeah. That was Ascension Episcopal's only loss of the year in the regular season. They defeated them 49-27. They defeated Appalachian Catholic 50-21. Look at, I mean, they had a really tough schedule against some really good teams, and a lot of those games they blew them out. They blew out the competition. I mean, we already mentioned that they beat Kentwood 32-0. They shut up Kentwood.
That's hard to do with the athletes that they have, and then you saw how many points they put on Southern Lab the week before. I mean, over 50 points against Southern Lab. So for them to do that, I mean, it just comes to show you how explosive that Kenwood team is, and for them to really shut them out. I mean, not only they shut them out, but you saw how many points St. Edmund was scoring after the St. Martin's game. They completely shut them out too. So yeah, I mean, this team. We talk so much about Jonathan D'Artes, but this defense has also been playing at a really high level. It's a two-way street, Grant, when you're trying to blow out these teams. Your offense obviously has to put up some points, but your defense has to step up too. And this defense has definitely done that, and that's what's allowed them to be on this undefeated run.
Yeah, Jace. I mean, I think for a guy like Jonathan D'Artes, I think it's gonna be kind of like one of those Elway things where it's like, you're just gonna just do a helicopter dive,
sacrifice your body.
Yeah, I mean, just exactly. I just think that a guy like that is gonna do whatever he can to finish off his career with the state championship. He already, I guess you could say, failed the first time they accomplished a state championship in a sophomore year. And then last year, of course, they got upset by Riverside Academy, the Summer Pilots, where they're also the number 1 seed, by the way, as well. Yeah. But then also just, you don't want to lose your last game of the dome. You gotten this far, you're going to do whatever you can do whatever you can to win this game, not lose the game, win this game. And I think Vermilion Catholic, I'm not saying they got this in the bag. I think this will be a very close game. Mm-hmm. These are two very well-respected programs across the state. Of course, Washington Christian's had a lot of success. Vermilion Catholic, they've won 2 state titles in the history in 2003 and 2013. Mm-hmm. I just think that these are two well-respected programs. It's going to be close. Yeah. I think it's going to be a great game. I think it's going to be a close game. But I think Vermilion Catholic is going to pull out the victory.
I'll be keeping up with it on my way over there. That'll be the game. Yes, but I'm definitely keeping up
on your damn business meeting, bro. This dude's a damn suit. But anyway, also speaking of suit, I have something that I want to share with you guys. Okay. Oh, where is it? No, hold on. How can I just never mind? I'll show you in this bit. I don't want to spoil anything. Maybe the halfway point. But anyway,
really worried about the video. I gotta say, I'm not
sure. Not a video. It's not a video. Okay. But let's talk about the next game. South Plaquemine versus Haynesville. This is, number 1 and number 2 seed. There's a couple of these matchups like that. Of course, you have Alexandria and Nicar. That's another 1-2 seed. That's another notable one. But I think this is the first one of the weekend. South Plaquemine is number 2 seed. They entered the playoffs 7-3, and really, I knew that they had an opportunity, and I knew that they were going to be a dangerous team in the playoffs, even though they're number 2 seed. I think that close loss against Newman, I think gave them a huge confidence boost going into the playoffs. Because Newman's a very good team. A lot of people had Newman go into the dome, and rightfully so. Newman's a very good team, and they took them to the brink. But they fell just short. But ever since then, They advanced very far in the playoffs. Of course, they would go in the dome for the first time since 2009. And that was a stretch. That was a lot. That was a stretch where they won 2 straight state championships from an 07-08, and then lost in his third attempt for a third straight state title in 09. They'll be going up against a Haynesville team as undefeated, a Haynesville team that a lot of people have picked to be the state champion pretty much since the beginning of the year, Jace. This Haynesville team was going to bring back a lot of talent from the year before, including the quarterback / free safety, Isaiah Washington. I mean, it would seem like it's going to be all in line for the Golden Tornado to win a state championship. But South Blackman, I mean, they've gotten hot at the right time, and they might pull off I guess you could say the upset. Yeah. I think this isn't that, even though it's a 1-2 matchup. This will be an upset because how Haynesville has been perceived throughout the entire year.
Right. And there's been a team that's grown with me the most throughout this whole bracket. It has been South Blackman. So it's kind of hard to say that for a number 2 seed, but that's really been the case. I mean, because maybe it's been a while. I mean, it's been since 2009. I know Coach Crutchfield had the program rolling during that time period in mid 2000s, but for them to get back, and it's been a long time coming. You have 2 teams in that bomb side of the bracket that been to the dome more recently, in Logansport and Mangum. And so for that reason, you don't really think about South Blackmans. But really, I mean, you got to be impressed with how they played. They got a really good offense as well, too. They can score, and we can score in 1A. I mean, that makes a lot of difference in the world. Roderick Parker is a really good quarterback for him. Jaime Williams is a good running back. He's been a Gridiron Football Player of the Week finalist for us this year. They got really good weapons on the offense side of the football. I mean, they were competing pretty well as well. I talked to you about in the spring. I got to see these guys play a little bit in the spring, and they really held their own against Amy. And, I thought this would be a good team this year, talking to Coach Fitt at the football game. But they've proven to be that. And anytime you can, no matter, I know people are going to say, well, the travel made a difference and all that. I mean, I'm sure it did. But at the end of the day, you still got to play the game. And they did just that. Anytime you beat Mangum, I mean, that 42-18, that was a statement from South Blackmans. And you follow that up with another impressive victory over Logansport, 20-14. The next week. I mean, that's 2 good teams you played. So they've really grown on me. And, this was this bracket where everybody thought Haynesville was just going to come in and just dominate and just like, here we go. We'll take that championship. Thank you very much. Kind of deal. But I don't think that's going to be the case. They're going to have to earn it against South Plaquemines. They're a good football team. They're not going to be a pushover. But Haynesville, they're a good football team. You mentioned Isaiah Washington. He was very impressive to me last year, seeing him in the Superdome. And, he's definitely a really good player. I mean, Zykeas Fielding's been a good 2-way player for them. Haynesville's always got those guys, but they can score too. So, I mean, this could be a really good offensive game. We know about David Franklin as a coach and, the pedigree with his dad, him and Red Franklin as well. But, yeah, this is going to be a great football game. And, Haynesville, I expect Haynesville, though, to still win just because they were in this setting last year. And I think anytime that you're in this setting, it is a difference. So, I think it does make a difference here. So I'm going to go with Haynesville. And I know it's been a long time coming for them, especially them, because they're the second winningest program behind John Curtis. And it's been since 2014 that they've won a state championship. They've been a couple state championships, but they haven't won since 2014. And, those Golden Tornado fans up in North Louisiana, they've been dying to come back. But I'm just seeing it now. That's a beautiful picture. I tell you what, talk about Santa Claus coming to town. Yeah, that is a jolly old Saint Nick, my friend.
Hey, who the can that guy possibly be? I mean, man. You sending Cool to South Blackman for picking Haynesville to win this game. What are you doing, John? Actually, not Haynesville's going to win this game. It's not, and like I think South Blackman's had a nice run, but just Haynesville is a kind of a well-oiled machine. I don't know if there's any way you can slow them down. I think South Blackman has a great chance. But Haynesville has already experienced being the dome last year, even though it was a blowout loss to a just a great Oak Grove team all around. It's just, it's one of those things where it's hard to pick Haynesville at this moment. It really is. Just because they've already been here before. A lot of those guys played in the dome last year. They already got the experience what it's like to play in the dome with those lights coming down from the ceiling down to the field. I think they just already experienced that, and the expectation is there, right? South Blackman, of course, their expectations be really great, and of course, get back to being one of the top echelon programs in the state from the class 1A and 2A, the small of the smaller schools. But Haynesville, their expectations are as high as anybody around the state. This program's won 17 state championships. Right? So it's hard to pick against a program like Haynesville when all those expectations are on you. They have most of their guys coming back. You got a very experienced coach in David Franklin, who has been there and won there before. A lot of talented athletes, including Isaiah Washington, who's already got an experience to play in the dome as a sophomore last year as a quarterback and a free safety. I just think it's hard not to pick the Gordon Tornado in this one, and I think they will win their 18th state championship in school history, second only behind the John Curtis Christian Patriots.
Yeah, it's gonna be one battle of the weather, I would say. We got the
tornado and the hurricane.
So
yeah, dude.
How the weather for sure. We'll see what tropical storm prevails.
Yeah, definitely. But moving on, we got another big time game between, and this is the finale of day one of the LHSAA playoffs. We got the number 6 seed Sterlington playing against number 1 seed St. James. Sterlington, of course, is 10-4. They are one of the hotter teams right now. Say, of course, for anybody who makes the state championship is one of the hotter teams in the state, but Sterlington, especially the quarterfinals, they defeated Oak Grove, a team that a lot of people thought was going to make it back to the dome after taking a step up in classification. And then, of course, last week they absolutely destroyed a solid Gina team, a Gina team that has been to the semifinals for the last 2 years, and they're led by the two running backs, Hunter Herring and Gavin Evans. Both are fresh for over 1,000 yards. Hunter Herring, I actually found out, is only a freshman, if I'm not mistaken, Jace.
He may be a sophomore.
Maybe. I know on the roster it says he's a freshman. Maybe he's
Hagen Herring?
Yeah, maybe he might be a sophomore. Then. He might be.
I might double check because I know he was a Gridiron Football Player of the Week. He actually may be a senior for them. So
really, I saw a roster. Maybe I read the roster wrong. I could have sworn it said like maybe he's like a. I'll go back and check. But yeah, but
that's 2025 Hagen Herring. Yep.
Okay, I was making sure. Okay, yep. So I maybe he was the other guy. I don't know. But
you might be thinking about Birch.
Maybe that might be.
Yeah,
that might
Birch.
be
I think Birch is a sophomore and he's a stud.
Okay, well, he's also run first for over 600 yards too. Yeah. This is a run first Sterlington team, and they're very effective. They've totaled over 4,000 yards as a team in rushing and 288 yards per game, and they got 4 players with 9 touchdowns or more. And they're just a very incredible offense. And that's a stark contrast to St. James. St. James is more of a spread traditional, your stereotypical spread offense that has a lot of speed. Of course, St. James is led by their quarterback, who is a freshman, Dewan Jackson, who has thrown for 1,840 yards, 23 touchdowns, and 7 interceptions. In their last game, he threw for 300 yards and a few touchdown tosses, and he ultimately led St. James to a victory over Union Parish in revenge for the state championship loss from last year. The Wildcats average over, 350 yards per game. They're a very solid offense. Connie Kenyon is a talented running back, of course. Jacques Villanueva is a hell of a receiver. Nearly 1,000 yards and 13 touchdowns. And then, of course, their defensive backfield is one of the best in the state. Of course, you got Jai Blaine and Jarrell Williams, who, Williams has 6 interceptions. Jai Blaine has 2 interceptions. Jace, I mean, what a matchup we have here to finish off day one of the LHSAA Prep Classic.
Yeah, that's a good one to wrap up the first day. That's a really good appetizer for you, right? I mean, for the first day of football. Sterlington, we know about them being a ground and pound, tough physical football team, and we have St. James, spreading the football around, using their speed, their athletes, their athleticism to their advantage. So these are two ways that work. I mean, they're both in the dome. So these are two ways of football that does work to your advantage. It just depends how you use it. And both these two teams have Sterlington. Coach Doty has a chance to win another state championship. We talk about the backfield. I mean, Hagen Herring's been a Gridiron Football Player of the Week. He's been a great football player.
I got him mistaken for his little brother. That's what happened.
Yeah, right,
Yeah.
exactly. And his and the older brother Hunter, he was a great quarterback at Washita Christian. He was a great player at Washita Christian. And the Birch, and Sterlington always has brother duos for whatever reason. And the Birch brothers are really good too for them as well. And they're going to be a great duo to look at the next couple of years. But yeah, Sterlington's a great football team. You saw how they're able to defeat Gina. Really, the last two games to show you how dangerous this team really is. Anytime you can end Oak Grove, their season, because they've won so many state championships just over the last 4 or 5 years, and you look at it, and then they follow that up. Everybody thought, okay, that was a big win in the playoffs, but how you follow that up in the semis, they pretty much crushed a really good Gina team that was coming off their back-to-back semifinal appearances. So that's a great team that you just beat. And now St. James, this is a team, like I talked about Washita Christian kind of playing with house money. This is what the St. James team is doing right now. They're playing a lot of house money because this is a young football team. You just mentioned their quarterback, Jawan Jackson, and he is only a ninth grader doing this. And we've seen that happen before, but, I mean, it is rare for a ninth grade quarterback to lead the team to a state championship. And you talk about all the weapons that they have, Chicago and the way that he was one of the more familiar names heading into the season. But it just shows you I don't know what they got down in the water down there in Battery, but they've always got great athletes, always got great skill talent, and they have. So again, they're great in the back end of the defense you just mentioned as well, and then they're great with their skill players at the running back and receiver position. This is going to be a fun game to watch. I think this is going to be one of the games I'm looking forward to the most as well, because with these conflicting styles, and we've seen how entertaining it can be. I mean, Sterlington lost to Union Parish this year. And you saw St. James play a similar type of team in Union Parish in the semis. It was a 1-touchdown game. I expect it to be the same thing again in the Superdome. It's going to be a fun game. And, Grant, whoever team can dictate their style of play here is going to win the football game. But I'm going to lean with Sterlington here just because, with the way they've been playing defensively, running the football, I think they can do a good job of maybe rounding a young team as well. That's in the spotlight. And I got to say, Coach Davis has done an awesome coaching job with his young group as well. I think it's his best coaching job. And that's even including when he led Scoutenville to the state championship, too. I think this is his best coaching job. But, yeah, I'm going to go with Sterlington, just the way they've been focused over the last part of the regular season up until now. You've seen that carry over. And I know that they have a chance to finish it. And Sterlington's been a great football program, and they're catching fire at the right time. And I don't want to play the Sterlington team right now if I was any of them. So I'm gonna leave with Sterlington here to get the championship. But it could go either way. It definitely
it definitely can't go either way, Jace. We saw that last year, St. James and Union Parish. It could have gone either way. That was actually the only game I picked wrong. Actually, was Union Parish over St. James. Union Parish scored in the final seconds of that game. And I was nearly right. It was nearly perfect for state championship picks last year, but I'm gonna have to pick against St. James this time around. I had actually originally had Oak Grove win it all before the playoffs. Obviously, things that got switched around because obviously you have two different teams in the state championship. But I'm gonna have to pick Sterlington. I think Sterlington is much more physical. I think just Sterlington's a little bit older. Right, yeah. St. James, they're still a young team. You have a freshman quarterback. You have a lot of sophomores playing meaningful snaps for your team. And as talented as St. James is, I think just Sterling is just a little bit. I think just an older team. They're just hot. They're one of the harder teams right now. Of course, with the state championship, of course they're hot, but they've just been zeroed in. I think they've just been locked in since the playoffs have began. You beat a very good Oak Grove team on the road, and then obviously you destroy a really solid Gina team in the semifinals. And I think just this is the recipe for another state championship for Sterling, and it will be and I think it will be Coach Doty's third state championship as a coach. Remember, he also won a state championship at St. Mary's in 2015, and then won a state championship at Sterlington in 2021. So I think this will be his third state champ. I'm calling it right now. Panthers over the Wildcats.
Yeah,
and Battle of the Cats.
Yeah, battle of the cats, and I know it doesn't really make any sense for this year's team because it happened so many years ago. But this Sterlington team can match up with some really good athleticism. I mean, there was a couple of years where I thought Madison Prep and Sterlington, that 2016 championship game. I thought, going off the bus, Grant, watching that game, I thought Madison Prep was going to win that game by a lot. But that's why you play the games on that's why you play the games on the field. And Sterlington did a great job winning that football game, even though they looked like they were out athleted. So I think they're used to it as well, playing against a really good athletic team, just a program. So it's going to be a great contrast of styles for sure, though.
Yeah, definitely, Jace. And moving on to day 2 of the LHSAA Prep Classic, and that day 2 will open up with the 3rd seed ED White Cardinals going up against the number 1 seed Archbishop Shaw Eagles. For ED White, it's their first time in the state championship since 2001, where they fell just short to the U High Cubs, and they are looking for their first state title since 1969, which was their one of 2 back-to-back state titles. Of course, they won the back-to-back in 1968 and 1969. That was the last time they had won the state championship. And also, I believe it is. Well, actually, is it the first time in the dome too? I think it might be. I know it's not the first time in the state championship, but it might be the first time in the dome.
It may be. I think Robin might have posted something about how she saw ED White in the dome playing Curtis back in 1981. But
yeah, okay, it's 1981. So okay, here we go.
Yeah, so they've been in the dome then, but I think that's the only time.
Yeah, I just double check that. Yeah. But for Archbishop Shaw, it is the first time back in the dome since 2008.
Mm-hmm.
They're looking for their first state title since 1987. That was actually won by their current head coach, Hank Garrity. He's in his second stint for the Eagles, and he's done a wonderful job leading them back. In his first year, they went to the quarterfinals. Last year, they went to the semis, and this year they are back in the dome. They are favored to win this game, but Jace, this game's gonna be really close. Both teams like to run the ball. This game should only last 45 minutes, to be honest with you. Of course, ED White runs the wing tee, runs the option out of the wing tee, and Shaw runs the option out of the spread. Jace, who you got?
Yeah, you mentioned this. This will be, it should be unless something crazy happens, like 3 overtimes or something. But this should be the quickest game we get between these two teams because. And I don't really expect many possessions, Grant, because ED White can hold the ball, calling their game against Letcher. And that's a great defense they played in Letcher. They held the ball for 7-8 minute drives in that football game. So, and you got a team like Shaw that can score quick. I mean, Mason Wilson and you have Jasper Parker. I mean, it's like pick your poison. Like which guy you're going to have to pick to try to defend. And it's just a head scratching moment for a defense coordinator. Who do you defend out that formation, right? But yeah, a lot of great talent. We talk about Mason Wilson is really the guy that makes this engine go, a dynamic athlete. And you talked about it. 2 Michigan signees as well, Jasper Parker and Jacob Washington too. Their defense has been great, especially in this playoff run, because their defense needs to step up and make some really big plays for them, and they've had. And their defense is. They get lost in the shuffle, but I know you credit them a whole lot because they deserve some credit. They just get lost in the shuffle because you have two Michigan signees on the offense side of the football. So sometimes it does get lost in the shuffle. But they're a great overall team. You know they're going to be well coached. They got a Hall of Famer leading the way in Hank Tierney. So you know they're going to be well coached, and they are. But E.D. White is too. I mean, Kyle was saying is a great coach. I think he's one of the most underrated coaches in the state. Top 2 or 3 underrated coaches that nobody really talks about.
Yeah, really underrated.
Yeah, he wins. He just wins games. I mean, he goes 9-1. He goes 8-2 every single year. They go to the semis like every single year. They've been in the championship before, just a couple years ago, but that was that weird year where the select schools were choosing what venue they wanted to play at, and E.D. White and U High were playing at Cajun Field. So that's where they ended up playing it in Lafayette. But
don't remind me of that, Jace. Don't remind me of that.
So they're new to the Dome, even though they've been in state championships before. They're new to the Dome, so that's going to be interesting. But Grant Barbera does a great job of leading this offense. They got really good weapons as well at running back and receiver. Defensively, that's where they hang their hat on. They're really great in the front seven, and they've done a great job against some great running backs. And I think the reason I'm going to pick Shaw to win this game is because E.D. White's done a great job against running backs. I mean, I saw him against Trent Chaney broke out for the long run late in that Letcher game. But besides that long 98-yard run, they followed him in check before that. And you saw what they did to Xavier Ford. Xavier Ford's the leading rusher in the state. So their defensive front can probably do the same thing. At least, Jasper Parker's going to get his yards. He's going to get his plays. But I think they're going to do a good job of making sure Jasper Parker isn't the guy that beats them. But I think Mason Wilson is the difference maker here. I think he's the key player here, the X factor here, and I think he's going to make the plays. And I think they'll just get enough offense. I think it's going to be a well-balanced game because both these two teams are going offense, but they're going defense. There's a reason why they're both here. But I think Mason Wilson will be the X factor here. He'll make some of those plays, and I think he will be the difference for Shaw to win their first state championship since the late 1980s.
Yeah, I mean, Shaw, of course, they're favored to win this game. I expect to win this game, but remember my state champion going in. But I think this matchup can be it's gonna be really close. This will be a defensive matchup. Who will make the most stops when they be? And I think that with Shaw, I think they're making enough plays offensively to win this game. But can E.D. White score enough points to win this game? Because they have to figure out a way to score points in the end. I mean, they can't settle for field goals. They have to.
Not explosive offense too, Grant. They're a methodical offense that likes to drive down the field. So that's going to play as well. If Shaw takes a quick lead, how much does that change the game plan for E.D. White as the game goes on?
Exactly, Jace. I think that's something you got to take into consideration. The fact that since E.D. White, if they get off to a slow start and Shaw gets a good lead early, let's say a 14-0 lead early, can they do enough offensively to compete with that? But also, I think the defense will slow Shaw's offense down to an extent. I think that's how good the E.D. White's defense is, led by, of course, Charlie Dietrich. But
he is a good player.
He's a really good player. But then again, can E.D. White's offense step up when need be? Because I think Shaw offensively is going to do enough to win this game, but can E.D. White's offense do so as well?
They got a good kicker too. E.D. White's kicker can kick. So they go really good on special teams as well. So that could make a difference in this game as well. If it gets kind of close because E.D. White's special teams is really good.
Yeah, definitely, Jace. Moving on to the next game, the middle game. The median game, I guess you could say. Catholic New Iberia versus Dunham. Catholic New Iberia has been on a run, Jace. They were the 7th seed going into the playoffs, which is a respectable seed, but nobody expected them to get this far. In the first round, they defeated Northlake Christian 59-22. In the quarterfinals, they shut out Newman 31-0, which is a huge shocker across the state. Not only scoring on Newman, 31 points on Newman's defense, but then also not allowing Newman's offense to score a single point. They forced Eli Prem to throw 4 interceptions. Now, I do know the Greenies were dealing with some injuries, but regardless, Catholic Iberia had a very, very impressive win, which is probably the biggest statement win of the quarterfinals. And then the next week, They go to Shreveport and pull off an upset over Calvary Baptist 33-31. They scored a touchdown late. They got the onside. They kicked the onside kick. They recovered the onside kick. They drove down the field and kicked the walk-off game-winning field goal to advance to the Dome for the first time since 2018. They will play against a Dunham team that has not lost a single game all year. They are led by quarterback Elijah Haven, who is the number one recruit for the class of 2026, and he is as good as he is said to be. 6'4", 6'5", 210 pounds, and he's only a sophomore. This should be a very, very good game, Jace. I really think this is a coin flip. I really do, because the way Cathy Newell-Bieri has just been playing, they've been the most impressive team, really, in my opinion, so far throughout the playoffs, because they went on the road twice and beat very good opponents.
Yeah, they really did. And that changes my thought process. We talked about how deep this bracket is. We said at the beginning of your Ball in the Boot show, Grant, about how we can see 7, 8, 9, 10 teams really making a run. And you saw that. You saw the number 7 seed get into the Superdome to play for a state championship. And really, I don't know what to think of this game, because I was there the week before Cathy Newell-Bieri beat Calvary Baptist, and Calvary Baptist looked like they could not be stopped offensively. I was like, I don't know who can beat this team. The way that they were playing, they can do whatever they want. Was Abram Wardell throwing the football, whether it was running the football with James Simon, they could do whatever they really wanted to against Episcopal. And the next week, they lose to Cathy Newell-Bieri, and that's after Cathy Newell-Bieri upset Newman in that fashion. So you're starting to think, like, if you can beat Newman in that fashion, you beat that Calvary Baptist team, and a lot of people were saying was the best team in the state. A lot of people were saying that heading into the year. I mean, Dunham, they're not going to be scared of Dunham. I mean, just on what the road, the treacherous road they went through. So how dangerous is this team? It's going to be one of those things, or can they continue that momentum they built the last 2 or 3 games, or do they get tired and run out of gas against Dunham? So that's going to be the question for this Cathy Newell-Bieri team. But this is going to be a game. I could see it being a high scoring game because you got Luke Landry, and he doesn't get talked about as well. I like these. Yeah. We got some lefties around here, Grant. I'm a softball myself, so it's like we got some good lefties out there, and he's a good one. Best in the state. I mean, in terms of southpaws, he's a great quarterback. They got a lot of skill weapons as well. And you got on the other side, you got Elijah Haven. You got the number 1 quarterback in the country. And the thing about this, Grant, is we've seen Dunham struggle. The only times we've really seen him struggle this year, bad weather condition games. You don't have to worry about this game. It's indoors. There's no bad field, no bad footing, like no weather impacting this game whatsoever. So I think it's going to be a free-for-all for both these quarterbacks. I think we'll see a lot of points being scored on the scoreboard. But I had Dunham going to the Superdome. I know I had Calvary Baptist beating Dunham. But since it's Cathy Newell-Bieri, I don't know what Cathy Newell-Bieri team we're going to see. I mean, Coach Summer does an awesome job with this team. I'm not sure if we're going to see a tired team that was on this run, or we're going to see a fresh team that's going to be the team we saw the last 2 weeks. So that's basically my question. And we're going to find out, but it's going to be a high-scoring game. It's going to come down to which defense steps up. I like this Dunham defense. They've stepped up in a lot of moments when Elijah Haven wasn't at his best, and that's why they've been undefeated this year. I think Dunham's going to find a way. And remember, they were also in the Dome 2 years ago, too. They lost to St. Charles Catholic, and I think with that experience, there's a lot of players that were on that team and played some big minutes. I believe Elijah Haven even got some reps as like an 8th grader at the time. So on the defensive side of the football. But yeah, I'm gonna go with Dunham, and I think it's finally time that Neil Weiner breaks through as well and gets the state championship. I think the timing's about right for Dunham right now.
Yeah, Jason, I think I have to agree with you there, Dunham. I mean, I've kind of been running Dunham before. I have been just because there's some things that I didn't really like about Dunham. What a couple times I saw him. But I think that LCA game really, I think, showed you what they could do. When they go, because they were behind 30-14.
They were,
and they came back and scored 20 and extra points to win that game and avoid and kind of an early upset, early round exit. So and then also the next week you go against a very good Bucky team that's pretty big up front, very physical, of course, and Dunham absolutely destroyed them 46-22. I think the Tigers have really grown up in the last 2 weeks. I expect them to win this game against Catholic Dorbier. I think it'll be close. Catholic Dorbier has been playing some really good football as of late. Like all these teams are going to the Dome, but I think even more so because of who they've beaten in the circumstances that they have.
I'm nervous though because of the teams they played, and the teams they beat. So I'm like, this Catholic Dorbier team, just watch out because there's a reason why they're here. They're really good, and we talk so much about the other teams, but yeah, there's a reason why they snuck up on everybody there at this point.
Yep. And the last game of the Friday slate, you got Cecilia versus Franklinton. Of course, Cecilia, we all know about them. And, Cecilia, they were the runner-ups last year. They were seeded as the 18th seed, although me and you both agree that we have no idea how they were given the number 18 seed. Yeah, I know they finished 7-3, but if you look at that team, that's not an 18 seed. That is literally I get in terms of talent wise, who they have coming back and their experience level, that is a top 5 seed. Mm-hmm. I know they lost some games, of course. I mean, if you beat Opelousas, they're probably much higher. They're probably around the 10 to 12 range, of course. But even then, that would be an outlier. Still, it's a very talented team led by Diesel Solari. It's not even just him. It's Brent Gordon Jr., who's a fantastic DB. I actually found out they had 144 tackles. 144 tackles. I just had 444 tackles, 5 interceptions, 7 forced fumbles.
Yeah.
I mean, this dude's all over the place. I mean, his stat line is absolutely insane, Jace.
Yeah.
Braylon Calais, who's one that rise, one of the better sophomores around the state, and who will be highly recruited. He's already got offers from A&M and Miami and different places like that. And they're a really explosive offense.
Yeah.
And they have a really good defense too. I know they have lots of points, but they got some dudes who are studs.
Yeah.
And they're young. But Franklinton, they keep playing with fire.
Yeah, yeah.
And they keep, for some reason, even if the fire grows 10 feet tall, they still find a way to put it out. This Franklinton team is, of course, knows how to win these close games. They've done it throughout the season, whether it's low scoring or high scoring. They got a coach at Nick Santaformaggio, who is now joined, as him and Simno. They both accomplished it this year, that they're the only 2 coaches that have led 3 different programs to a state title game. Mm-hmm. And so he's coached at the highest level before. And, and Franklin really has a great shot. This game's a toss-up.
Yeah.
Well, regardless of who you pick to win this game, you don't feel very confident about it.
No, I do not. I went back and forth, Grant. Actually, behind, we're going to talk about Carr and Ash. This is the second game right behind that I'm most looking forward to watch, because they're just watch out for a lot of stuff that you don't normally see, like double passes and all kinds of stuff. Whatever really dug deep into that playbook, they're gonna have it all unleashed out in this football game, because both teams have a versatile weapon. I think it's gonna be a key factor here, Grant. Franklinton has Connor McGee. He can kind of do a little bit of everything, catching, running. He's like the Swiss Army knife for him. And Ellis Stewart. I mean, Ellis Stewart's been a guy. He's actually committed to play in our bowl game, and he's a Taysom Hill. I mean, literally, when Diesel Solari got hurt, he was a quarterback, and he was a starting quarterback. He's also played receiver, running back, DB. And they can do a lot of things with that. So with different guys that can do multiple different things. Diesel Solari has been really the guy leading the offense, and what a season he's had, what a run he's had. But this offense, they can do a lot of different stuff. They can put a lot of stress on the defense. And then you see this Franklin team, man. I was very impressed with them. They're a balanced offensive attack. Jacob Crane's a really good quarterback. And then Cy Austin, I mean, he gets slept on, but he's a really good running back for Franklinton too. It's just that type of year for running backs in Louisiana. But they just find ways to win. And the Cecilia team, the teams that they beat, I mean, they defeated. I mean, it's kind of weird knowing in the state championship game that an 18 seed is probably the favorite over a number 1 seed. But that's what's kind of giving me that feeling though. Just because of teams, frankly, I mean, that Cecilia had to go through. I mean, anytime you had to beat Lutcher, you go beat North DeSoto, you beat Plaquemine. I mean, the run that they were on, it was unbelievable. And yeah, this Franklinton team's been playing with fire, but they find ways to win close games, and they defeat a lot of really good teams this year. Nick Salzman, what a job he's done. He's an awesome coach. I mean, anytime you lead 3 different teams to the Superdome, that shows you how good of a coach you really are. Because I mean, you do it at one school. It's hard enough to go there one time and to lead 3 different teams to the Superdome. There's a lot of great coaches, Grant, that have never been to the Dome. Period. So
Right.
like go and lead 3 different teams to the Superdome. That's an awesome stat. But yeah, it just shows you what team this has been. The change in culture over a year. They were a 3-win team last year. They lost a lot of these close games the year before, and this year they've won them. So it's been a great turnaround. One of the biggest stories this year, too, in the state of Louisiana. It's going to be fun to watch. Diesel Solari is a fun player to watch. You talked about all the talent that they have, as well in Brent Gorin, Braylon Calais. Yeah, they will score a lot of points. There's no doubt about it that Cecilia's offense won't be shut out. You're not going to shut out this offense. But if you're Franklinton, you can play with them and you can slow the game down. Franklinton, what's intriguing about them, Grant, I think they can play pretty quickly. They can score quickly, but they can also go down the field and score as well. They can go and establish a drive. They can go 90 yards and take 6 minutes off the clock if they want to. So that's what makes their offense versatile. But I like both these offenses. There should be some points on the board, but I just don't think Franklinton's offense can keep up with Cecilia. So I'm on the lean with the Bulldogs here, but I think this is going to be one of the best games in the Dome, regardless.
I mean, Jace, you say that, but then again, if you look at all the games that Franklin has won, their offense can't keep up. And that's the thing. They've scored 59. So this is their point totals they scored so far: 61, 42, 35, 50, 49, 49, 42, 41, 35. And the playoffs, and then the last, in 5 of the last, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I mean, 5 of the last 7 weeks, they've scored 40 points or more. And last week, they went against another high-powered offense in Iowa, and they only allowed them to score 29 points. So Franklinton will play how they need to play, right? I mean, they can score, but to win this game, they're going to have to keep possession of the ball. I do think Cecilia can win this game, but let's not be mistaken. Franklinton can keep up with some of the best offenses around the state. I mean, Jacob Crane has been playing some really good football as of late. Jacob Crane is thrown for 2,252 yards and 24 touchdowns and 4 interceptions. And Cy Austin, and we have 2 running backs in Cy Austin and Connor McGee, who are very effective at running the ball. Franklin has had a total over 5,000 yards of offense.
Yeah, right.
This is a very effective offense. I mean, that's about. I mean, for what they average, they're about averaging over 400 yards per game, which is really good in high school at the high school level. And this is a very effective. I think they have more yards than Cecilia.
Yeah,
actually, I think they do. They have more total yards offensively than Cecilia does. So this is a high-powered offense too. Let's not be mistaken. I do think Cecilia is going to win this game, but this is going to be definitely take the over for this game.
Oh yeah,
definitely take the over.
There's going to be a lot of points. Like Franklinton's offense is good. I just don't know if it's going to be like if they can compete with the Cecilia can put 60 points. They can put close to 70 points. They can do that. They have that type of ability. And I think another key factor is special teams. Dennis Gaines been known for onside kicks, stealing possessions. I think that's going to be a thing to keep an eye on too, because there's going to be tricks up both coaches' sleeves. I think we get a lot of trick plays, a lot of tricks up both coaches' sleeves here. And I've seen Cecilia steal possessions with surprise onside kick. So they can do that. I mean, that's the great equalizer there, especially when you're competing with a dangerous offense in Franklinton.
Yeah, definitely, Jace. Moving on to the Saturday slate. We got 2 more games we got to cover. But this is the one where everyone's been talking about from every single quarter of the state. Alexandria who is the number 2 seed, versus Etna Carr High School right here in the city of New Orleans for most of the year. A lot of people consider these two teams to be the best in the state. It's very rare that you get a state championship to determine, in recent times, who is the best team in the state, considering the fact that you have select and non-select, because you have the split, right? You have to factor the split. So a lot of times you don't get these state championship matchups. But we do. Alexandria is the district champion. They're an undefeated district champion of District 2 5A, which has West Monroe, Ruston, Neville, Washington Parish. It's one of the top districts in the state. Edna Carr High School is the champion of District 9 5A, also known as the Catholic League. They've won the Catholic League for the last 3 years. They are undefeated as well. They're coming off of a 21-19 victory over the defending state champions, the Catholic High Bears. And this is what everyone was hoping for, this matchup for a very long time. We finally get it. The wait's going to be over when toe meets lever at noon on Saturday. Jace, who do you got?
There's a lot to unravel with this game, obviously for obvious reasons. But like you mentioned, I don't think we're going to have an argument about who the best team in the state is after the dome's over. It's whoever's going to win this football game. I can just leave you at that. But yeah, man, a lot of storylines and the car. It's been a long time coming, for this team. Really, if you think about it, I mean, since 2019, since they've been playing in a Superdome for a chance to win the state championship. And the car. Seeing this team, Grant, I don't know how many weaknesses they really have. Like, you could just go and game plan against these guys. Like, where can we, from a definitive standpoint, where can we beat these guys at? I mean, you just go and look at it. I mean, John Johnson is a great quarterback, one of the best in the entire state. The receiving core is the best in the entire state. Anytime you got an LSU signee, a Louisiana Tech signee, and a Tulane signee, go up. Just pick your poison. And then they can run the football too. I mean, they're complete offense. Defensively, they're great at all levels of the defense too, from the defensive front to the secondary. And they're well coached. So it's like, okay, like where can you beat these guys? Now, Ash, they went through a gauntlet this year. I mean, anytime you go undefeated in that district and win all those games, you beat Neville, you beat Ruston. Even their non-district game was tough. I mean, they had to go and beat Opelousas. They had to go and beat Destrehan at the beginning of the year. They did all that. And then you go in the playoffs, you beat John Curtis. I mean, anytime you beat those teams, that's tough. I mean, Thomas Bachman's got this team believing. JT Lindsay is probably the biggest name in terms of like just your casual fan, like you're going high school fan going to see these games. He's probably the biggest name you have in the Superdome. But a lot of attention is going to be on him. But they can throw the football too. Carson Sellers is a great quarterback. They got great weapons at receiver. Both receivers are actually committed to play in the bowl game. We're excited about that. And Terrence Towns is an underrated weapon at tight end. Ash has always had great tight ends, and they got a good one in Townsend as well. They're a balanced offense, like in the car. They can kind of do a little bit of everything. Defensively, they've really grown and gotten better over the course of the year. Their defense is good. When they can lean on their defense, they can be good. Only held Curtis to 13. The big one was really shutting down Neville, and then also holding Evangel to 6 points. Now that was a big opener as well. But this is a great football team. They don't have a lot of weaknesses either. So it's going to come down to what team does not make the mistakes. It's going to come down to that. And really special teams can come into factor as well. If there's one weakness I probably saw within the car, it's been the punting unit sometimes. I mean, with high snaps and like that could be a factor if Ash can attack that and get some really good field position off of bad snaps and high snaps or whatever. They can do a good job of doing that. That'll be a key. And really for Ash, on Ash's side, and the Car's defense is so good up front. I mean, JT, they're going to key on JT Lindsay, and they know this Car coaching staff knows how they're good at passing too, but they're going to make Ash become one-dimensional. I was like, all right, throw it on our guys. I mean, we're going to stop. We're going to stop JT Lindsey. You got Corey Adams. You got Richard Anderson. Got Arsenio Bowles. We'll do our job, right? And JT Lindsey will get his. He's a great running back. He'll get his opportunities to make some big plays. But in the end, Grant, I think it's going to come down to Carson Sellers, and especially throwing the football down the field. So that if there's a place where you can beat this Car team, you're going to have to beat them down the field. And it's going to come down to that. But, man, a lot of great matchups. There's going to be a lot of chess pieces moving with Coach Botman and Coach Bryce Brown. It's going to be a great football game. There's a reason why this is the most anticipated game in the state. It's going to be a great one. I'm going to lean, though, with Edna Carr, though, just because of their experience in big games. I mean, and just their athletes. They don't panic in the moment. I've seen that plenty of times in the Dome where they don't panic. And that really huge credit to Bryce Brown because he does not panic in any situation. And the team picks up on that. So that's why they're really confident. So it's going to be a great game regardless. Ash has had an awesome season. But I'm going to lean with Edna Carr here.
Yeah, it's also hard for Bryce Brown. It's also easier for Bryce Brown to stay calm, especially when your quarterback is also your cousin. Actually, he mentioned that the fact that it's kind of he has to usually he's kind of the bad cop towards the quarterback, and then one of the other coaches the good cop. Now he does because he was the offensive coordinator for a very long time. Right. He's very much into the offensive scheme at Carr. Of course, he's an offensive coach. And when one of the things he said at the press conference Ken threw together at Hooters was that usually he's the bad cop for quarterbacks, but because John's there, he's the good cop. And then obviously John's dad, John Johnson Sr. Is he's the I guess the bad cop.
There you go.
But it's a family. But that's the thing that makes it interesting about that whole situation that it's basically a family affair. A car right now because especially as I mentioned, Bryce Brown's cousins with John Johnson and John Johnson, John Johnson Sr. and John Johnson Jr. And also John Johnson's dad, John Johnson Sr. Was a quarterback for O.P. Walker back in 2002, where he led them to the state championship where they ultimately fell to John Curtis 16-14. And I think it's also his uncle, I forgot his name, was the quarterback for John Ayer in the mid-'80s where he led them to a state championship. So a lot of winning tradition at the quarterback position in that family. So so we really, but I got Carr winning this game, Jace. I had Carr win, and that's really a close game. I'm really excited for this game. So is everyone around the state. Everyone down here is really excited for this game because we haven't really seen Alexandria. We know how great Alexandria is. We hear about JT Lindsey. I already knew JT Lindsey was great even before this year because he was kind of quickly rising in recruiting rankings because of how talented he is. But there's a lot of LSU fans down here. I think they all want to see JT Lindsey play football. Right. A lot of people haven't really got a chance to see this, so they'll finally get to see that against Edna Carr in the Dome. But I just think the Carr defensively up front will be too much for Alexandria, considering that they want to run the ball. If Alexandria wants to win, Carson Sellers has to have a big game. I don't know if he's got throw for 400 yards and 5 touchdowns. He's got to be smart with the football. He's got to make the right throws and the big time throws as well if they want to win that game.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree with you there. It's gonna be a great matchup, and this gives the LSU fans a good idea of how good JT is because this is as close of an SEC defense you're going to play against until you arrive on campus. So this is the best chance you really get of seeing an SEC defense because. Hey, you're playing against the SEC defense with SEC commits all over the football field and that side of the football.
It's like four LSU commits on the defense alone. Because you got Richard Anderson, you got Aiden Hall, and then Corey Adams committed. Not 4 guys, but there's 4 guys in general that committed LSU. I think on the card in general, but you have Corey Adams committed to LSU, Ole Miss. You have Richard Anderson committed to LSU. You have Aiden Hall committed to LSU, but they're for the class of 2026. Hayward Howard is a guy that could be getting some looks. He's going to get some looks because he's a part of the bootleggers and he's been getting a lot of looks.
He pressed me a lot in the Catholic game. He made a lot of plays at the end. They went try to attack Aiden Howard and he shut it down every single time. So he's another impressive player. They got guys on the horizon coming up. So they're never the bones never left dry over there at the court.
Yeah. Oh, exactly. But we both have Carl winning. Like, have we disagreed on one of these games?
No, I don't think we have. I mean, the only
That's crazy.
we kind of, but maybe disagree was about maybe Franklinton and Cecil, but it wasn't.
Yeah,
really
but how the game was good. Yeah. But
that wasn't.
I mean, I'm kind of back and forth with that game, dude. I mean, I'm like, yeah, I think Franklin is good. I could go back to me. It's Franklin, but it's silly because I think just those CTs are just evenly one match, and just no. I've seen Franklin play, and Cecilia play. Like it's kind of like, dude, who I pick? Like it's hard for me, right? Because it's even hard when you see both those teams play. But moving on to the last and final game.
Yeah.
That number 4 seed Central in their first state title game since 1966. You know their fans are going to travel well. It's for not too far of a trip, only about an hour away. They will be taking on the number 1 seed Ruston, who's in a third straight state title game and are hoping to win back-to-back state titles. Jason, for that, I believe it will be their 9th state title, if I'm correct. Let me double check.
It would be their 10th.
Yes, it would be their 10th. Yes.
Yeah.
So it would be their 10th state title. And Central's trip tonight in the 1966 state championship was their first and only state title, and also their first and only appearance in the big game. Jace, can Central pull off this third straight victory over a Monroe area school, or will Ruston win back-to-back?
Yeah, that's a good point there. And then fuck that, but yeah, that'll be 3 straight Monroe schools. They would
Well, Ruston's not Monroe, but it's in the same
area.
area.
Yeah,
it's in the area.
Northeast Louisiana. Like I had Central getting this point, and not a lot of people had Central being double, but I did. I had Central advancing to the Superdome and playing the championship. I like their senior quarterback. I like their defense, and they got a lot of playmakers too. I mean, Marvin Joseph being one of them, but they got a lot of playmakers. The Mays brothers on the defense side of the football, they're really good, and then there's a reason why they're here. They're well coached too. I just don't know if they're ready yet, as far as like under the big lights, getting there. Grant, you have to be there, experience it before you want to be at that level of like a Ruston. That's been there 3 straight years. That's won a state championship. Their defense can keep them in the football game. I don't know at this point if their offense is going to be able to score enough, because this Ruston defense is tough. Their offense has actually improved since last year because you got a really talented quarterback who's going to play at Tulane, Joshua Brantley. Now he's going to be more of an athlete, but still, for what Ruston wants to do, he's a great quarterback for what they want to do. And remember, that was like his big time performance in the Dome last year, because there were some people questioning if Ruston can throw the football and be impactful on the offensive side of the ball. And that's when Joshua Brantley had his big coming out game against Zachary last year in the Superdome. They got great running backs as well. They got two really good running backs, Jordan Hayes, Dylan Brooks. They do a great job of complementing each other running the football. They got one of the best tight ends in the entire country, as well, Ahmad Hudson. So they throw it up to him. They can throw it up to him. Reminds me of a lot like Trey Greens at LSU now. And then defensively, we got Aiden Anning. You saw what kind of impact he can make, not only on defense, but you saw him return a punt in the Superdome last year. So special teams, he can make an impact as well. Well coached. They're big on the offensive, defensive line, and their experience in this big game. I had Ruston winning the state championship. I think that 2-game losing streak that they had against Neville and against Ash, I think that woke them up, especially early in the season when they went through the state of Texas and just dominated every team in Texas. I think that was a good moment for them, a wake-up call, a reset button for them. And you've seen how they played since then. They dominated Southside. They dominated a really good and red-hot Deschamps football team. I'm going to go all Bearcats in this one, Grant.
Oh, Jace. I'm having a tough time with this one, Jace. I really am. I think, Central's defense is really good. I
They are.
think that's why they should be favored to win this game. Jackson Furman is a great quarterback. He's experienced, but Jackson Furman, I just pulled up his offensive stats. And this is from, you know, throughout the season. This is going up, leading up to the Chachere game. He has only completed 50% of his passes.
Yeah.
And when you're going against a team like Ruston, where they're just stout, Zarek Hill, linebacker, Minda Latek, he's a very good. Aiden Hall, Aiden Andy, a cornerback, very good player. You just look at this Ruston team defensively. This is not a very favorable matchup because a quarterback like that, and as great as Jackson Furman is, he has not. To beat a team like Ruston, you have to be on point, Jace. You really do. This is the reason why Ruston's gotten the place it has been as of late is because of their stout defense.
Yeah.
And when you have a cornerback come into LSU, you have a linebacker come in a lot of taking. You just have a team that is defensively sound. I mean, that's been Jerry Ball is a very run first. We're gonna play physical defense. We're gonna punch you in the mouth. That is the type of ball they want to play, and it's Central's offense ready for that. I think Central's defense is really good. Central's defense is the reason why Central has gotten to where it's at right now. But Jackson Furman has to step as a quarterback if the Wildcats will win this game. But I got Ruston winning this game and winning their 10th state championship. And I believe, if I'm looking at this correctly, they've already passed West Monroe. Now they're 2 more titles ahead of their rival West Monroe. Want to stir some beef up here
because West State championships, they went back all the way to like the 20s and 30s, and really West Monroe really got going like in the
90s. They were the team in the 90s, really.
Yeah, right, with Don Childs. So that's when they really got rolling. But Ruston, to that point, I mean, they're just tough. They're physical. They've been there. I'm always in favor of the teams that are used not only to play in the bright lights, but the schedule. When to arrive to the stadium, where to go to the locker room. They're more used to everything. So, and I favor Ruston as well in that fact.
Yeah, definitely, Jace. And Jace, that's gonna wrap up.
Did we agree with every pick? That's a first.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of laid out. I mean, there's a lot of tosses, so we're gonna be wrong. I mean, we're both gonna be wrong because we both.
Yeah, at some point. Yeah.
But this is the last preview show that we're going to do this year. That's pretty wild. Of course, we're gonna have our post day recaps or whatever, of course, and then we're probably have an end of the season show. Maybe we might do we'll play something, but of course, but Jace, you're getting closer to your guys' bowl game.
Yeah.
But
maybe bowl game.
I mean, you guys, which is kind of what you guys are doing right now. You're scouting for the bowl game. But Jace, before we head up, I'm leave you the floor because you're getting closer and closer to bowl game.
Yeah,
you got the state championship tomorrow.
Yeah.
Anything you want to promote about it?
Absolutely, Grant. I appreciate your time and appreciating that. So we got a lot of stuff coming up for the bowl game. We'll be there for state championship coverage. So myself and Alex will be covering the Thursday games, and then Friday will be myself and Daryl Felker, and then Saturday will be myself and Logan Grafia. But we'll be there giving you state championship coverage. Thursday through Saturday, we'll have highlights on our YouTube channel. In fact, you want to check out myself and Grant and our staff pick the games too. All the Ball in the Boot shows have been uploaded on YouTube, so y'all can go and check that out. I'm actually about to promote that by later tonight. And yeah, after this 3-day stretch, Grant, it's all bowl games. So we're gonna have all Gridiron football bowl game commits up on our website. I'm working on some right now. The roster is getting set up pretty quickly. I'm at that point where I might have to tell some guys turn some guys down because right now we're pretty full especially your skill position player, quarterback, running back, receiver. But hey, if you're in the trenches, we're still looking for you guys. So offensive, defensive linemen, even some linebackers and EBs. But right now we probably only have about 20 or 30 spots left overall, just to fill the entire roster. So now,
how many total do you guys have right now filled out?
We probably have about 80 kids sign up right now. So
Wow.
yeah,
Wow.
really has
Wow.
now. So like
That's
it's
awesome.
good. Yeah. We're going to be pretty full regardless. And at this time of the year, Grant, you're going to have a lot of players, especially from the Superdome teams. At this point, it kind of hits them because you're preparing for a state championship. You want to win a state championship. You're all 100% focused on the state
Yeah.
championship. So when that's over, it kind of hits you like, oh, I don't have any other chance to play football. So there's going to be probably some of these players from these teams that want to play because their season's over and they're looking for another game to play in. So that could be an opportunity as well. But all of our bowl game commits, there's actually some of them that will be playing in the Superdome already that will be playing in the bowl game. So we're excited for those guys and hopefully wish them good luck in their games. And it's going to be fun covering the state championship games once again. A fun full 3 days and get a little bit of a break, I guess, from the bowl game chaos.
Not really.
Not really, because I'm still going to be probably sending invites during games when I'm up in the press box, watching the game and sending invites. So that's going to be probably what I'm going to be doing. But still, it's going to be fun to get away for a little bit. It's going to be fun. And yeah, December, anybody wants to come, December 30th, the bowl game tickets are on our website. Make sure to go to our website, gridironfootballusa.com. Any of our bowl game commitments that you see, just click that. Just click any of them, and you'll be able to click the image for each one of them to buy your ticket. So jump on it right now because I think once we get December 15th, we're going to be no more pre-order. So it's going to be $15 right now if you want to buy tickets. It'll go up to $20 once we reach December 15th. And we got a fun full day of football action. Now we have the senior game. That's the finale. And we have a lot of talented players from around not only Louisiana, but around the other states as well. But we have the future of football coming up too, Grant. We got our junior high games. And we actually have 3 teams competing around robin. So we have a North Louisiana team, a Central Louisiana team, and a South Louisiana team. So you get to see what state gets the bragging rights for young talent coming up because they all played 2 games. And then we'll finally wrap it up with the senior game. So make sure you go to gridironfootballusa.com and buy your tickets.
Yeah, and also you will be creating invites during the game too, as well.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yep, I will be. Anytime I'm up in the press box, I'm sending invites as I'm watching the game. So
yeah,
that's what I'm going to be doing. I'm doing a lot of that in the Superdome.
Definitely, and also make sure all of the games will be broadcast on the LHSAA network on TV. So if you're on either, you can go on if you have Roku, whatever, it's LHSAA network on your Roku TV. But you can also view the games on TV on your view. I believe I know it's Channel 4 here in New Orleans. I'm not sure where it is for the rest of
Channel 4 in Baton Rouge too.
Okay. So for the rest of these, probably Channel 4. But wherever you have your view, that's where the games are going to be at. But also, if you want to listen into the games, say you're driving in for the state championship games, you want to listen to the game, go to CrescentCitySports.com. I'll actually leave a link in the bio. And you go to CrescentCitySports.com, you can actually listen to the games. And we're going to be broadcasting the games live. We're going to have halftime shows. We're going to have like pregame shows for each and every game. It's rotating. It's gonna be a rotating host for each thing, but I'm gonna be very prevalent on the streams for the halftime show and the in between game shows for Thursday and Friday, Saturday. I really don't have anything to do for in terms of assignments for Crescent City Sports, so I'm gonna be on the sidelines for Saturday. Watch those 2 awesome games, man.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be a lot of fun. And if you can't listen to Grant in the shows there at Crescent City, and you can't listen to the games of Crescent City, and you just want to check it out, see what happened with the game, you can always check out for a recap. Go down to footballusa.com. We'll have a recap and we'll have highlights of all the games as well.
Yeah, definitely, Jace. And also, there was also something else I wanted to say too. Christy Sports, football, let's say network. There's another thing. So the highlights for all the Saturdays games, they will be on Ruger Sports Media. So if you want to check the highlights for Central and Ruston, and then of course Alexandria and Carr, they will be on the YouTube channel. I'm also going to try to maybe get some highlights for some of the other games if I what I possibly can. But for those 3 games for certain, those highlights will be on this channel. So I want to also want to say that as well. But anyway, I'm your host, Grant Chachere. This is my co-host, Jace. This will be the very last preview of the season. It's already gone by so quickly. We're in December. I can't believe it. We're like 14 days away from Christmas. It's gone by really fast, man. But anyway, you guys have a great weekend. Be safe. Travel to New Orleans, and when you are in New Orleans, also be safe as well. I hope you enjoy your time in New Orleans. We will welcome you into this awesome city. I know some people give it crap at times, and even the people that live in the city, we give it crap sometimes. But this is one of the greatest cities in the world. And if you're Essential fans or you're coming in, make sure to go to each and every one of the local restaurants, or for all you guys, enjoy your time here in New Orleans. But also, most importantly, I hope that all the coaches and kids enjoy their time in New Orleans. There's not many opportunities you get to play in the Dome. There really isn't. So enjoy. If you're playing this Saturday or playing this weekend, enjoy it. There's not going to be many of these opportunities left. Enjoy it, and I'm gonna enjoy them. And then also, me and Jace are gonna enjoy our times, not only as journalists covering the events, but also longtime fans of high school football here in Louisiana. And it's gonna be an awesome experience throughout the weekend, from December 12th through the 14th, which is Thursday and through Saturday. And you guys have a great weekend. We'll see you guys at the Dome, where we do our recap of each and every day at the Dome. Peace, y'all.